Hey guys, so we're gonna take a look at some testimonials from Chinese citizens and try to get a better idea of what things are looking like over on the other side of this trade war.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to help to get some perspective from a Chinese citizen. And this guy seems like he does not really care much to hold back about his opinions, which is bold in China.
Very bold, but let's just see what they have to say.
Give him the spotlight before he disappears for good.
Yes, yes.
Another blogger is even more aware of the situation.
这真是把我们老百姓当傻子呀！我跟你讲哈，
They really think we're fools. I'm telling you, if this continues, in just 2 years, many of us won't be able to survive. What infuriates me the most are those so called research reports that say China's per capita income has increased this year, that pensions and medical benefits have gone up, that savings have grown. I just want to ask, who did you survey? You're lying without even pretending. Prices for everything are skyrocketing, but incomes, for years, they haven't increased by a single cent. This year, the price of corn is just over a yuan per kilo, which is even less than a bottle of mineral water. A whole year's worth of work on a piece of land might only bring in 1 or 2,000 yuan. It's not even enough for basic medical expenses. Isn't that ridiculous? For ordinary people, if you don't borrow money, you're having a good year. Where is the money for farmers going? Meanwhile, officials are collecting millions or even billions. Even if they're caught, they'll serve a few years and then get out. What's the use? The common people earn every penny, while they greedily take billions. They really don't think of themselves as outsiders.
This man says,
倒地死拉
Wow.
See, I think that's interesting because it seemingly draws a lot of parallels with the complaints that we've got about our American economy.
Yeah, it turns out that greed is not mutually exclusive to democracy
Or capitalism,
or
for that
capitalism.
matter.
Yeah.
That's just interesting to me, and we've got the same problem, and their solution has been up to this point the solution that we are seeking for ourselves now.
I'm just shocked they even serve a couple of years in prison because, at least in a capitalist society, they just get away scot free because they can afford great lawyers.
But it's a really dire circumstance, it would seem, over there.
Yeah, it really does, And there's a few more testimonials that really touch on this, but just the general consensus from anything I've seen from anyone actually Chinese that really is talking about it is it's not good. Things don't look good. Labor lines are a mile long there. No one can find work, and the work they do find is they're driving actually the wages down because there's such a surplus in demand for work. Why would the work, or why, if one dude's willing to work for almost nothing, why would he pay the guy that wants everything?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is now that all the foreign business prospects are dwindling, right? And orders are getting canceled or postponed at the very least, and now all these foreign producers are tasked with becoming domestic producers in a market that was already very saturated, which is why they were producing foreign goods to begin with, or goods for foreign exchange. And now they're having to adjust to the domestic market, which is not effectively not even there.
Yeah, and then you have I believe you wanted to touch on this, the massive generation of students that's entering the workforce in China right now to no work.
Yeah, absolutely none at all, because it's once again it's so saturated. And we even saw in one video that we watched where one young lady was saying that there was people returning to her town that had gone off to the big city to work and this and that, and they were returning under the guise of, oh well, we're just going to come back and start business here, when in fact they just could not find jobs,
And we're moving back in with
we're moving back home unemployed, unfortunately.
Well, there's no shame in that. But you don't need to say that you're starting a business to say that you're moving in with your parents. I mean, if your economy is in a complete downward spiral, and one of the things that China's economy has done is the middle class has hoarded some of the wealth. So at least their parents, hopefully being in the middle class, can kind of at least support them. But otherwise, their spending power is nothing. What he said is, what he was just saying is that there's so many more people looking to buy than there is looking to or not looking to buy, looking for work than anyone actually looking to buy anything. And when you just cut out like a massive chunk of who you're selling to, and that kind of makes sense. You know, they have an overabundance of products and no money in their actual economy. You know, the flow of money is a really important thing to have a successful economy. Money needs to stay moving, needs to stay circulating, you know, the speed of money. And right now, that is just, the brakes have been put on China's speed of money. And
well, one of the biggest complaints you've seen from American business people is that there's little to no opportunity for them to do any business in China. And if this pattern of, you know, they don't have any jobs to do anything like that, they're going to have to start accepting more foreign business into their country instead of being as picky as they have at this point.
Well, as a Chinese official once said, China been around for Okay, I'm not going to do that. China's been around for 5,000 years. Apparently, they're not going anywhere, and I believe that China will still be around.
But they'll have to change. They'll have to change it up if they want to keep, you know, the quality of life that their citizens have is under direct threat, and they're going to have to do something to maintain that. Otherwise, the Chinese civilians might get a little rowdy.
Well, so one of the things too is there's also been protests, you know, in China, mass protests in China. You know, I guess if you have half your young labor force out of work, they have nothing else to do. Turns out people like to protest.
Yes.
Excuse me. So I guess we'll see where this goes, but I just thought this was an interesting topic to touch on.
Yes.
Well, alrighty.